Have you ever felt like you're just different? Like there's something about you that stands out, but you can't quite put your finger on it. Maybe you're not famous or rich, but deep down, you know you have something special. Today, I'm going to tell you how to recognize that you are, in fact, an extraordinary person. Being extraordinary doesn't always look like what we see in movies or on social media. It's not about doing crazy things or having an extravagant lifestyle. It's about something deeper, something inside you that makes you stand apart. And if you're wondering whether you're one of those people, stick with me. Because there are 5 signs that you're truly extraordinary, and you might not even know it yet. Sign 1. You embrace your vulnerability. You've been through things that could have hardened you, and maybe, for a while they did. Maybe you built walls so high, even you forgot what was behind them. But somehow, you didn't stay there. You cracked open. Maybe it was slow, maybe it hurt like hell, but you chose to feel, to show up without armor, to let people see what was real. That's rare. Most people run from their feelings. They numb, distract, pretend. But not you. You stopped running. You turned around and faced the thing that scared you. And even when your voice shook, you still spoke your truth. Even when your hands trembled, you still reached out. Even when it would have been easier to shut down, you stayed open. That's not weakness, that's power. Because vulnerability isn't about falling apart. It's about letting others see that you're human and still choosing to stand. You've cried in front of people and didn't apologize for it. You've said, "I don't know," when you didn't have the answer. You've admitted, "I'm not okay right now," even when it made the room uncomfortable. You've shared your story, maybe not all of it, maybe not with everyone, but enough. Enough for someone else to breathe a little easier. And even if they didn't understand you, you understood yourself a little better every time you stopped hiding. That's extraordinary. Because the world teaches us to hide the parts that hurt, to toughen up, to move on, to be fine. But you let yourself feel, and you keep letting yourself feel. Even when it's messy, even when it's inconvenient, you refuse to fake it. You refuse to play small just to make others more comfortable. That is not just brave, that is rare. That is something most people spend their whole lives trying to learn. If you've ever sat in silence, holding your own pain in your hands and said, "This is mine, I'll carry it, but I won't be ashamed of it," then I promise you, you're not ordinary. You're already halfway to extraordinary. Sign 2. You're constantly evolving. You're not who you used to be, and you're not who you'll be 6 months from now. You've outgrown versions of yourself that no one else even noticed. Quietly, in the background, while smiling through it, while holding everything together. People still talk to you like you're the old you, like they know you, like they understand what's going on inside. But they don't. They didn't see the nights you questioned everything, the days you wanted to give up but didn't, the choices you made to unlearn what you were taught, to be good, to be quiet, to fit in. You're changing, all the time, and not because someone told you to, not because it was trendy or easy or fun, but because staying the same started to feel suffocating. You don't want comfort if it costs you growth. You don't want fake peace if it means silencing your soul. You'd rather be uncomfortable than untrue. And that makes you different because most people cling to what they know. You question it. You sit with the hard truths. You break your own patterns. You call yourself out before anyone else does. You notice the little things, how your tone changed, how you handled something better than you would have a year ago. You celebrate those quiet wins no one else sees. You're not perfect. You still mess up, still react sometimes, still spiral, but you notice it now. You come back quicker. You apologize faster. You reflect deeper. That's what evolving looks like. Not glowing in the sun with a perfect journal and a green smoothie, but sitting in the dark with yourself, whispering, "Okay, what needs to change now?" And the truth? There's no final version of you. You're going to keep unfolding, keep shedding, keep coming home to yourself over and over. That's not weakness. That's not instability. That's what extraordinary people do. They don't chase being better than someone else. They just keep becoming more of who they really are. And if that's you, if you can feel the shift inside, if you keep choosing to grow even when no one claps for you, then I'll say it again. You're already extraordinary. Sign 3. You prioritize deep connections. You don't waste time on small talk. You don't fill your life with empty conversations just to pass the time. You crave something real, something deep, something that touches you at your core. You're the type of person who, when you listen, you really listen. You don't hear words, you hear emotions. You hear stories, you hear the things people are afraid to say out loud. And you get it. When someone opens up to you, you don't rush to fix them. You don't judge them. You don't offer shallow advice. You just sit with them. You offer your presence, your heart, because you know that sometimes that's all anyone really needs. You've had your share of friendships that weren't real, the ones that faded when the going got tough. The ones built on surface-level things like shared interests or mutual acquaintances. But with you, it's different. You need more than that. You need people who see you, people who don't just know your name but know your heart, your thoughts, your pain. The people who love you, not for the mask you wear. And maybe you've been hurt in the process. Maybe you've trusted too easily. Maybe you've given pieces of yourself to the wrong people. But here's the thing. You never stopped believing in real connection. You know how rare it is, and that's exactly why you value it so much. You choose the deep conversations over the surface-level ones. The long talks that stretch into the early hours of the morning, where you don't even need to fill the silence because you already know. You choose to be vulnerable, to be open, to be honest, because that's what matters to you. And it's not just about what others give you. It's about what you give them, the way you show up, the way you support, the way you remind them they're not alone. Extraordinary people are the ones who build relationships that last, the ones who nourish the connections that feed the soul, not just the ego. And you've got that in spades. Because while everyone else is chasing numbers or status, you're chasing authenticity. You're chasing the real, raw, messy moments that make life worth living. And maybe not everyone gets it. Maybe some people don't understand why you don't just hang out, why you don't settle for shallow interactions. But that's okay. You're not here to fit into their world. You're here to build your own. So, if you're the kind of person who would rather have a few solid, deep relationships than 100 shallow ones, who invest time and energy into the people who truly matter, then let me tell you, you're extraordinary. Sign 4. You challenge the status quo. You've never been someone who just accepted things the way they are. Maybe that's got you into trouble sometimes. Maybe people have called you difficult, rebellious, too much. But the truth is, you're not afraid to question. You're not afraid to ask, why? Why is it this way? Why is everyone following the same path? Why is this the right way to live, to love, to be? You don't just do things because they've always been done that way. You look at the system, you look at the rules, and you think, what's wrong with this picture? And if it doesn't make sense to you, you refuse to follow it. Even when it's easier to go along with the crowd, you choose to think for yourself. You're the person who speaks up when something feels off. When the world tells you to stay quiet, you open your mouth. You're the one who stands alone, even when everyone else falls in line. It's not about being contrary. It's not about fighting for the sake of fighting. It's about believing that things can be better, that the status quo isn't always right, that there is room for change, for improvement, for growth. You've challenged norms in ways that might not even be obvious to others. Maybe it's the way you approach your relationships, or the way you choose to raise your children, or the way you live your life every day. You've chosen your own rules, your own beliefs, your own truth. And I know it's hard sometimes. You face the resistance, the doubt, the judgment. People don't like change. People don't like it when you step outside of the lines. But you do it anyway, because you believe there's something more, something better, something deeper than what the world is offering. Maybe you've been told you're too idealistic, too ambitious, too unrealistic. But here's the truth. Extraordinary people challenge the norm. They don't settle for mediocrity even if it's comfortable. And if you're the kind of person who asks the big questions, who doesn't settle for what everyone else accepts as truth, who feels the need to make things better even when it feels like you're swimming upstream, then you're extraordinary. Sign 5. You inspire others without even trying. You might not even realize it, but just by existing, just by being yourself, you inspire people. I don't mean in the "I'm famous, look at me" kind of way. I mean in the quiet moments, the small, everyday choices you make that no one else sees, the way you move through the world, not asking for applause but still leaving an impact. You might think you're just living your life, but what others see is something different. They see someone who doesn't give up, even when everything feels heavy. They see someone who stays true to themselves, even when it's hard. They see someone who isn't afraid to be human, to be messy, to make mistakes, to keep going. Your story is one of resilience, and people are drawn to that. You inspire them not by grand gestures, but by your quiet strength, by your persistence, by the way you keep showing up, even on the days when you don't feel like it. People talk about you when you're not around. They say things like, "She makes me want to be better," or "He shows me it's possible to keep going," and you don't even realize the power you have. You don't need to give speeches or post motivational quotes to make a difference. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to be you, real, raw, vulnerable, and somehow that's enough to light a spark in someone else. You inspire the people around you without even trying because you're being authentic. You're showing up as you are, and that's magnetic. People can't help but be drawn to that kind of honesty, that kind of strength, that kind of rawness. And when you think about it, isn't that what we all really want? To be seen, to be heard, to matter. You inspire others just by letting them see the real you. And that's something most people spend their whole lives trying to do. But you do it naturally. So, if someone has ever looked at you, even in a quiet moment, and said, "You're my inspiration," know this: you are extraordinary. If this spoke to you, then it's not a coincidence. You are extraordinary. Full stop. You've just spent the last 15 minutes seeing yourself in every word. That's not random. That's recognition. You've done the work. You've felt the weight. You've chosen growth when it would have been easier to shrink. Now it's time to stop hiding, stop doubting, start owning who you are. And if you're ready to keep going, deeper, louder, freer, subscribe, hit the bell, and walk this path with me. We're building something here, a space for real ones, for the ones who feel too much, question too much, love too hard. You're not too much. You're the exact amount the world needs. Let's go.